Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Teri Hunter and I'm here with this week's messages from your angels by Astrological Sign. Today is Thursday, September 20th, 2018. If you'd like to learn more about me, my services, or to book a private session, please feel free to go to my website at www.terihunter.com. That's TERIHUNTER.com. Okay, let's jump right into Aries. Let's see what's been going on or what's coming up for you this week, Aries. All right. Our first angel is Archangel Gabriel. The second is Adriana. The third is Rosetta. And the final is Merlina. Okay, so in our foundational position, Archangel Gabriel will talk about having a divine life's purpose in arts and communication. But for my Aries this week, I really think what she's talking about is to look at where you're feeling insecure and where you want to move forward. And if you see insecurities there, to look and see a little deeper whether or not this is an old story that you've been telling yourself from a previous version of yourself. I have Adriana in the opportunity or the obstacle, and she tells you that she's leading you towards the answers to your prayers, your dreams, the things that you want to birth and experience in this world through those subtle yearnings in your heart, in those thoughts that pop into your head, those dreams that you have at night. And then I want to go back to Archangel Gabriel again, saying that when you look at why you may be feeling insecure about a dream, about a dynamic that you want to experience, is it based on an old story? Because I have Rosetta in the Angel's Advice for taking advantage of Adriana, and it's the card of children. It's a card of teaching children. It's a card of parenting children. But in this case, I want to say that there's the potential that Aries is telling themselves a story based on a childhood, a teenage, a young adult dynamic that you no longer are, that you have potentially evolved past. Because I have Merlina in the final position saying that you're confused and indecisive, which plays back to Archangel Gabriel, saying don't be insecure, because you need to do more research. You need to dig in deeper to the dynamic that you want to create before taking action. And that will help you feel more confident, getting information, getting, knowing what the landscape will be. Let's say you want to go to college and you want to get a certain degree, and then you contemplate it and you feel insecure about it. But if you get information about what that will be, what the curriculum will be, you'll feel more comfortable about taking the methodical steps to move your story forward. All right, let's go on to Taurus. What do the angels have to say for you this week? All right, Taurus. Our first angel is Yvonne. The second is Ray. The third is Athena. And the final angel is Seraphina. Yvonne on the face of the card talks about having a way with animals, and I always see it as being vulnerable to the things that I love, to the things that I hold of value in my life. And when I say being vulnerable to them, it's not about exposing my heart to a place where I'm giving my power away. It's the opposite. It's actually being able to express myself in a way that speaks my truth, regardless of how it lands on the other person, the other dynamic, the other thing. I have Ray in the opportunity of the obstacle. I think for those of you that have been watching me for a while know that when I talk about Ray, she is a card of yoga. She talks about exercise and yoga being essential for your well-being, which can't hurt anybody, frankly. But when I look down at the card, she's sitting in an Om position. She has her, can you see that? I'm so bad at this reverse camera thing. Okay, so she's sitting in an Om position, and she's got that big yellow beam coming out of her third eye. Then it's flanked by that green stripe and the blue stripe. Those are our chakras. The yellow one is our power center. The green is our heart, and the blue is our throat, meaning how we speak to ourselves, to speak to ourselves through our lovingly. And Athena is here in the Angel's Advice saying, Taurus, lovingly assert yourself in that place of knowing the deepest parts of your heart. And nobody else has to agree with the deepest parts of your heart. Nobody else has to give you validation of that, because it's in your own validation that I think you're going to start to feel a shift happening where you're feeling happier and you're feeling more content, because these aren't things that you're trying to run away from anymore. They're not things that you're trying to contain. They're more dynamics that you've just surrendered to. They're parts of yourself that you like or don't like, that you are evolving through. So you don't have to marry yourself to one thing and you're always this. I just feel like this is a week for Taurus to sort of, I want to use the word acceptance, but I'm not talking about acceptance of other people's behaviors. It's acceptance of self, acceptance of that every rose has a stem with thorns on it before you get to the petals. So don't fight or beat yourself up for whatever thorns you have, and be vulnerable to them, and be vulnerable to not only the expression you have to others about your truth, but to yourself as well. All right, let's go on to Gemini. What's up for Gemini this week? Hold on, guys. I'm going to, pardon me, turn on the fan. I'm still hermetically sealed in the house from this construction. Rumor is that they're going to stop this week. We'll see. All right. What is up for Gemini? All right. Our first angel is Layla. The second is Xana. The third is Archangel Michael. And the final is Merlina. Oh, my Geminis, this just feels like a week of contemplation for a new move and a new change in your life. Layla is my walking meditation. She asked me to connect with nature so that God and the angels can use the elements in nature to communicate with me so they can speak back to me. And as I pay attention to the things I see repeatedly, then I can start to look at that. Like if you see a bunny rabbit, they're prolific. You know, think of the dynamics that come that an animal represents. That's how spirit will talk to you. I have Xana in the opportunity, the obstacle, telling me that you're being protected, that the worst is really behind you. And then I have Archangel Michael asking you to have the courage to make these changes. And then finally I have Merlina, who's a card of research to help you make the decisions. Being unaware, sort of having a concept of where you want to shift things. And I want to say this because for my Geminis, in some respects, it feels like this is really more about contemplation of old dynamics in your life that become habits, things you're just used to. They can be habitual relationships that you're used to. They can be habits that you have towards your body. It can be a certain thought process. And what I believe angels are asking you to do this week is to look at those things and be willing to shift the things that are no longer serving you. Again, old thought processes and patterns that really may not even be true anymore. You know, we could take the idea of scarcity or of lack and say, is it really true in this moment? Are you experiencing scarcity and lack, or are you projecting the potential of it as you endeavor making the changes in your life? That's where I think Xana wants you to know that you're being protected, that you are being protected in a bigger way than bodily harm or financial harm. It's as you allow yourself to be vulnerable to the things that you want to experience, and then slowly, methodically take steps, first researching and getting more information about it, or taking a baby step towards it. You'll get more confidence, and then you'll start to feel safer as you move forward in that way. All right, let's go on to Cancer. What is up with my moon children this week? Oops. All right. Our first angel is Francesca. Second is Sonia. The third is Serafina. And our final angel is Athena. Okay, so I just want to, for my Cancers, I'm just going to say this. The first and the fourth position of the cards are always more in the physical world for me. They're more material. Whereas the second and the third position are more the angel's advice. So I have Francesca in the foundational position saying, what do you desire? Visualize that. Because anytime you get stuck in the road or hoping that it's going to happen, or you start to, contemplate what it would feel like for it not to happen, and the hard part of it, and the obstacles and the road, speed bumps and all of that, you get caught into an energy that's actually not serving you. So going to the place where you can imagine and feel to the depths of your bones what it's like to experience having that object or achieving that goal. Because your spirit guides in the form of Sonia are saying here in your opportunity, your obstacle, we love you. We are here with you to help support you. And Serafina is confirming that, because she's saying that as you focus in on the things that you really desire with that joyous energy of what it's like to actually experience it, then it shifts you into a happier energy. And in doing so, it moves you closer to that material experience. I have Athena saying it's safe for you to lovingly and powerfully put yourself in that energy, assert yourself towards the things you want. So let's just say that you want to go on a huge trip. Like, let's just say you want to go to Egypt or something, okay? And you're like, oh my God, I don't even know how I would go, who I'd go with, la 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 la. Don't worry about that. Just focus on what you would want to see while you're there. What would you want to experience? And then as you allow yourself to sort of bathe in that idea, the next thing you know, you go to lunch with a friend and she's like, man, I totally want to go to Egypt someday. And you're like, oh, no way, I want to go to Egypt. And then next thing you know, you're buying plane tickets. Okay, there we go. Let's go on to Leo. What does Spirit have to say for my Leos this week? I just heard roaring in my head. My Leo's roaring this week. Let's see. Our first angel is Xana. The second is Athena. The third is Shanti. And the final angel is Akasha. So Xana is an angel of protection. For me, it's really more emotional, spiritual, mental protection than physical protection. She's assuring you that what she says is the worst is behind you. Life ebbs and flows. We have challenging experiences. We have, fun experiences. Sometimes when we're feeling like we're on a roll, we just kind of wait for the shoe to drop, something bad to happen. And I think that what Xana is saying is, no, just stay in the present moment and enjoy it. Because I have Athena in the opportunity or the obstacle, and she's talking about lovingly asserting myself. And this really feels like a viewpoint. It doesn't feel like an actual physical action in asserting myself. Because as I assert myself into trusting the universe has my back, trusting that whatever disruption I may go through is leading me to a place there's going to be more peace, more joy, more intentional experiences that my Leos create for themselves. Because I have Shanti in the angel's advice, and she is the angel of peace. But before the peace can come through, whatever's disrupting that peace gets to be moved out. And if it has been that you are for some reason not lovingly asserting yourself, potentially asserting yourself from frustration or anger or discontent, then that gets to be moved out. Because I have Akasha in the final position, and Akasha is my spiritual teacher card, but I think it's more about, as a collective, my Leos get to awaken their spiritual gifts by trusting the universe in the form of Xana has their back, allowing this disruption to step aside. And as you lovingly and gently, and as you would want to receive this information, communicate. So I'm basically saying, don't scream at anybody this week, because it won't serve you. And I'm not saying that you're going to want to scream at anybody, but I'm just using that as an example. Okay, let's go on to our Virgos. It's your month. It's your birthday. On the 19th, I was in my place here in Laguna 15 years. I have my own little Virgo anniversary, so I'm kind of excited about that. Hard to believe. Been so lucky for so long. But you know what? I create my luck, so it's going to continue because I'm keeping my mind in the right place. All right, Virgo. The first card is Desiree. The second is Vanessa. The third is Francesca. And the final angel is Serafina. Okay, so Virgos, Desiree will talk about conditions not being favorable to move the story forward or to endeavor something. And when I think about this right now, Venus has gone into retrograde. It's actually in its shadow period, I believe, and then it will be going backwards for the rest of the year. Venus is the planet of love, of femininity, of relationships. So if indeed for some reason you're finding your relationships challenged, you're finding yourself feeling somehow in a bit of confusion, because I have Vanessa here in the opportunity, the obstacle, and she's the angel that asks you to make your decisions based on faith instead of fear. And then I have Francesca in the angel's advice saying, what do you visualize? Visualize what it is you want to experience, because Desiree is saying that if you allow this pause to put you into that negative space, you're going to spin in the wrong direction and it won't really be necessary. Because I think that there's some energies that are moving out so that you can move things forward. I have Serafina saying that there's a happy change to coming to your family. Lots of you may find yourselves getting pregnant this month. That is a card of pregnancy. But again, for me personally, as a collective, it's really more, it feels more about me sitting in the birthing process of the ideas of what I want, rather than trying to take action and move them forward. Yeah, because I think too, again, Vanessa is really asking you to dig deeper into how you're processing this. Because if you think you're being positive, there's a very good chance that you're really focused on the hard road ahead. And that hard road ahead is sort of a signal to spirit that you want to experience more challenge. So having faith that spirit will move those obstacles out, and your job is to sit back and have that faith right now, because your personal movement forward isn't necessarily going to serve you. Sometimes spirit has to go in and move things around before you can. All right, let's go on to our Libras. What is up for Libra this week? Oop. Okay, I'm going to go under the table. I just dropped a bunch of cards. I'm back. All right. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's just get to it. First angel is Bridget. The second is Grace and Antoinette. The third is Shanti. And the final angel is Yvonne. All right, Libra. Wow. So this is kind of crazy, because this is all about your faith in yourself. This is all about seeing a bigger picture of things, because nothing is really moving forward this week. And some of you may be actually in an energy that feels like, things are moving backwards. Bridget is a card of caution. She's asking me to look deeper into the situation. I really feel like that is speaking to my thought process this week and how I am processing my experiences. I have Grace and Antoinette. She's a card of compassion. And then I have Shanti again in the angel's advice. That's my angel of peace. But again, there's a disruption that always happens with Shanti, because whatever is disrupting the peace has to be moved out before that peace can come in. And what I'm thinking right now as I look at this is my Libras are sort of processing things from an old place. So let's just use the example that you're in a relationship. And in that relationship, you're finding things getting a little choppy, and you're feeling a little bit uneasy about it. Now is no time to go into the history of all your relationships and then pin on that other person the experiences you've had. That's where Grace and Antoinette is asking you to have compassion. That's where Shanti is asking you to look, or Bridget is asking you to look deeper into the situation. Because let's say you've been with somebody who avoids the truth. Just because you're in a new relationship does not necessarily mean that you've brought in somebody who avoids the truth. I think what this is about, Libra, is giving your partners or giving your experiences the benefit of the doubt this week. I have Yvonne here. This is my card of vulnerability to a bigger truth. That is in relation to Bridget. There's something about the way my Libras are processing their experiences and their relationships, their dynamics right now, where they're going to an old story and making it today's story. It doesn't feel like that's necessarily the case. So I would be very gentle with myself, Libras. I would be very compassionate of myself and of others. I didn't mention this for the other signs, but Uranus has been squaring Mars. Uranus is the planet of unexpected, kind of jarring, it has an electric energy to it. Mars is the planet of war. They're kind of not getting along right now. So a lot of crazy, unexpected things could happen. And there has been a series of them in my neighborhood and myself included. So having compassion for others, doing your best to communicate your truth from that place of vulnerability versus anger or frustration will best serve you. All right, let's go on to Scorpio. What is up for Scorpio this week? My first angel is Athena. The second is Grace and Antoinette. The third is Archangel Michael. And the last one is Desiree. Very interesting. Very similar to Libra, only in different order. Okay, so Athena is saying that it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. Grace and Antoinette talks about having compassion for self and for others. Archangel Michael is asking you to be brave and courageous in the face of your truth, and Desiree is saying that conditions are not necessarily favorable right now. So how does this work? What it feels like is that I am, as my Scorpios, it is time for me to lovingly assert myself towards myself regardless of others. This is where I'm kind of coming clean with what do I really want in life? And am I living, and are the people in my life fostering that dynamic and supporting it? Because Archangel Michael asks us to be really brave in not just our actions, but in our willingness to own how we're participating in our unhappiness or our happiness. And this is where Athena is saying to lovingly assert yourself to the deeper truth of what you want. So Scorpio, if you've been in a relationship, and I'm just going to use this, not every Scorpio is in a imbalanced relationship. But if you have been in an imbalanced relationship and you've been hoping by all hope that that person is going to suddenly start to show balance, it might be time for you to have compassion for yourself and implement that balance within yourself and put some healthy boundaries up and say, you know what? Just for now, I'm going to step back because conditions aren't favorable for me right now in the sense of moving forward in this relationship, and I need to step back so that I can recalibrate my own participation in it and where I'm not participating. We don't want to be reactionary, and Scorpios are very passionate people by nature. So you could have a tendency to maybe, pull the stinger out right away. And I want to, and to yourself as well, not just to the other person. So I really feel like this is a week of self-compassion, compassion of others, of asserting my way of thinking in a more loving way, being brave in that thought process, that maybe if I let this situation sit to the side, that something more balanced might come in, or balance will be fostered within that relationship that I could not have done by trying to push for it. Okay, let's go on to Sagittarius. All right, Sagittarius. First card is Francesca. The second is Rosetta. The third is Aurora. And the final is Athena. Oh, this is really fun. So Francesca always talks about being able to visualize what it is I want to experience. And when I say visualize it, I mean feel it to the depths of my bones. Goose flesh, feeling all deep excitement for it, because I have Rosetta in the opportunity obstacle, and this is really about childlike excitement. And then I have Aurora in the angel's advice that's saying you're flying high right now. Don't descend because you will soon set an example for others. And then I have Athena saying that it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. And that's not just towards others, but towards yourself. So overall, for my Sagittarius, this feels really warm and fuzzy. It's almost as if there are things that you have been working on, that you've been like projects or dynamics, and we're starting to see something coming into the real world here. And when you continue to have that childlike innocence, even if for some reason things, there's a pause. Like, for instance, I've been waiting for some news from someone about a move in my own personal career, and I could sit here, be anxious and worry about it, but that's not going to do me any good. You know, she's going to do what she's going to do. I've presented my presentation, and whatever, she's going to have to take care of it. So as I lovingly assert myself into the vision of my dreams, then I can have a childlike innocence that everything's going to be fine. I feel like Sagittarius, you've been doing the being, and the doing, and now it's sort of time to sit back and allow the fruition to come through, and to lovingly assert yourself, knowing it's on its way. Or I think you might even be starting to see evidence of it now. Okay, let's go into our Capricorns. What is up for Capricorn this week? All right. First angel is Indriel. The second is Bethany. The third is Serena. And the final is Archangel Raphael. All right, so Indriel is the light worker card, and I want to say this for my Caps. I really think this is about you shining your light out there in the universe, just being you, being happy and being excited, because I have Bethany, it's a card of self-care. I have Serena, the angel of money, saying that, you know, the money that you need is in charge of God. God's got you. God has you in his hands, and you sort of shining your light, fearlessly believing, faithfully believing that whatever resources you need will be there. It really provides a healing, a reconciliation inside of your heart. I mean, you know, you guys, you goats are so good at creating material abundance in general. And it doesn't mean that, you know, every Capricorn is wealthy, but I'm just saying that you're hard workers, you're ruled by Saturn, and I think that sometimes because you're such hard workers, you forget that it's in the joyous demonstration of your work that your abundance is allowed to flow even more effortlessly. And as you allow that light to shine, to be excited in your work, you get a reconciliation. You feel more at ease with the process of ebb and flow. Sometimes we think when we're saving a lot of money, we're saving for a rainy day. But if you really think about it, that's a fear-based thought that something bad's going to happen and I need to be prepared. Now, I know that there are bad things that happen, but concentrated focus on them will draw them to me, and I don't really want to do that. So focus in on your abundance and shine your light, and know that God and the angels are taking care of you, and that you have a little bit of almost like a gift from heaven coming to you, because as you experience this, God giving you the resources you need, you'll have a sense of the universe has your back, and that feels good. Okay, let's go on to Aquarius. All right, Aquarius. First card is Yvonne. The second is Teresa. The third is Merlina. And the final card is Azure. Yvonne is my card of vulnerability. She'll talk about having a way with animals, and many of you may be working with animals, rescue, vet, I don't know. But for me, my animals have always been my kids. I never did have physical human children, so I love them, and my heart is vulnerable to the hurt that if something were to happen to them. So when I see Yvonne, I always know that it is so important for me to be vulnerable to my deeper truth, to my ability to create, to my ability to love not just somebody else, but to love myself, and to make those big girl decisions if indeed I find myself in situations that are imbalanced. Regardless whether it's a family relationship, a work relationship, an intimate relationship. I have Teresa in the opportunity, the obstacle. She's a card for me as a bit of worry. She worries about everybody else but herself, and it's kind of time for her to tuck in and take care of herself, and to give herself give yourself, I should say, give yourself permission to take a time out. And if you don't know, because I haven't said it yet, I hate when I do that. Merlina is in the angel's advice, and Merlina can be a card of confusion, confusion and indecision, needing to have more research, find out more dynamics. For me, when I look at this in relation to my Aquarians, you know, you're a science kind of sign. You're ruled by Uranus. You're scientifically, you think that way a little bit, and so for you to be vulnerable to an emotional dynamic of the unknown is a little bit of a stretch for you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So if you allow for that, and you start to realize that worry is a form of prayer that doesn't serve you, it puts your attention and your intention in the very experience you don't want to have. So as you shift that, and as you kind of take on Merlina's energy of saying, well, let me just look into this a little bit deeper. Let me not draw any conclusions just yet. Just do a little bit of research. Because I have Azure in the final outcome, and she's basically says, as you surrender to the things you want and you have faith that yes, you deserve them, and you allow yourself permission to not worry about it, to be vulnerable, to take those methodical sort of scientific steps towards it, you're really going to be pleasantly surprised with how the outcome turns out. It almost feels like there's something that you've been brewing that maybe you're just unsure that it's actually going to play out. And if you would relax a little bit about it, Spirit could open it up a little bit faster. So you're going to have to get out of your scientific mind and go into a more spiritual place of faith, and knowing that, you know, you do have and will continue to purport the energies and behaviors necessary to make your dreams and your desires come true. All right, let's go on to Pisces. What is up with Pisces this week? All right. Our first angel is Merlina. Boy, she's showing herself today. Second is Bridget. The third is Shanti. And the final is Francesca. Okay, so I didn't mention this to every sign, but I'll bring it up for Pisces. The planet Uranus has been squaring Mars for the last few days. And this week you may find yourself in a little bit of a situation where, Mars squaring Uranus is kind of a challenging energy. Mars is a planet of war, the planet of action, the planet of enthusiasm, the planet of inspiration. And Uranus is the planet of the unexpected. It's the planet of, it rules technology, it rules information, technology information. In this case, what I'm trying to say is we've had a lot of energy. So this week, Merlina's talking about being confused and indecisive. That would so play to this weird energy. Bridget is saying to look deeper into the situation, not to move too fast, just sort of hang back. Shanti is the angel of peace, but disruption has to come before the peace comes, because it's got to move out whatever Bridget is giving you caution about. And then I have Francesca saying to visualize what you desire, that it will come about, that as you focus on the challenges, it stops the wheel from moving. So even though my Pisces may not be able to know exactly how they're going to swim their way out of whatever this pond is you've got yourself in, you will, as long as you sort of surrender to the road. It's almost like when you're in body surfing and you get caught in a wave, if you try to fight your way up out of it, you're just going to get exhausted. But if you go limp and surrender a little bit to the experience, the water will naturally bring you to the surface much quicker. So if you are nervous about a dynamic, let's just throw a hypothetical out there. Let's say you've been job hunting. Okay, and you're like, oh my God, I don't know which way to go. I've been trying and trying. Pull back. Think about, this is Bridget, asking you to look deeper into how you've been looking for that job. Were you looking for a job that was just going to mirror your last job, pay your bills, and suck the life out of you? Because then Spirit will actually slow the process down, because they don't want you to go there again, because your higher self is saying, no, I want peace. I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy my job. It's about more than money. It's about more than benefits. It's about more than, what that is, meaning whatever that job is. It has to be in alignment with what is good for Pisces as well, what will fill your heart. And then as you swim in that idea, Spirit will start to open things up. So that's it for this week, everybody. I hope you have a great week. I'll be back next Thursday. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, intuitive guide, and empowerment coach. And you can learn more about me at my website at www.terihunter.com. That's TERIHUNTER.com. I'll see you next week, everybody. Bye.